Okay.
Yeah, Tom.
Okay. Okay. Garmagad tashimi. Garmagad Dave agus falcha. Watlam céad míle fáilte chu romh agus thoiméid tnú leis an Cardi Láthar agus soléirú a all ó híomh na Gaelgaide agus an dul chun cinn atá déanta ag Tusla. So go háirid bhhatlam fáilte chu raibh an úsil Pat Smith príomhhaimhnach, Atrivach, Alan Breen, Stúrathór Commerceáide, Amanda Path, Banistóir, Éad Gnóthaí Parliament a Finnúla MacDonald agus just tá sé Jack Rayleigh an tú go leiscail Noel Kelly Garmagad Stúrathór Seirbhíse Edicus agus Lanny Garmagad. So just í dús spóra tá rud le déanamh maidiú leis an achtam clúmhile. So déanaí mé sin í dús agus an sin ba sibhan an Cardi Láthar a dhéanamh. So bhhatlam a chur bhuair náid go bhfuil de bhua alt Jég Miradó el den achtum clúmhile gohfuile sé ní fine faoi cosan ag lán frivleid maidiú leis an bhíneise a thugann siad an costa seo. Má ordaíonn an costa díomh ábh Aindrias fíneise thuirt i leith ní áirithe agus má leanann sibh á tuairt níl sibh i deideal dá é sin ach frivleide cáilithe i leith na fíneise agah. Ordítar díomh nach dúrfar ach fíneise bhaineann le hábhar na nimachtaí seo agus bhí phrítar díomh cleachta parlamenta a ormú ná cór mas féidir díine nó entas a cháú ná líhann si a dhéanamh ina naid, ina anam, ina hanam nó ina nanam ar slí a bhéadfaí iad a haint. Bhhatlam sibh a chur an ólas go ndéanfar na ráiteas tionscanmh a chuir sibh faoi bhráid an costa a ísisiú ar thaobh gréasán an costa tar éis an cruinne seo. Agus meabhrítar do cóltaí an cleachta parlamenta tá an le fada nar córdóibh túdaimí a thuirt maidiú le duine atá tíomh muite na tithe nó le hefiigech ina anam nó ina hanam ar slí a bhéadfaí iad a haint. So sin mo cuid déanta. So gur míle maithagah. An bhfuil sibh chun labhairt í Mairlin ó Inghilge. An bhfuil éon duine chun labhairt Béir le log. Okay, so by sé seo Gaeilge iontóg. Iontóg gur míle maithagad. So by sé seo beag an in Jackar, so leanní muidir ráid trí Gaeilge ach tá na clúisinaí ormh, so déanam muid ar níhal. Okay.
Okay. Jigríh. Cahirlach, las cahirlach, bhil Christa. Bhuiile Oireachtas ar an deis dul in lech le Oireachtas an Oireachtas inniu. Fasnéas a legan amach máidiú le bunú tústa. Agus ar Gimantas com ar dúilgas a cholíní faoi acht na Jangada ó Fissigula. Chun an Gaeilge a cór chun cinn agus carta teanga ar Newsajóri Seirbhís a Connolly. So I apologise, my Irish is not good enough to continue in that, so I'll read the opening statement in English if that's okay. I just want to introduce my colleagues on the far left, Ms. Fiona MacDonald, who's the National Service Director for Children Services Regulation, including early years. Mr. Noel Kelly on the far right, who's the Director of Education Welfare Services. To my left, Mr. Alan Breen, who's our Head of Communications, and Amanda Path, Parliamentary Affairs Unit. I'm Pat Smith, the Interim CEO in Tusla. Just to give you some very brief introduction, Tusla was established back in 2014 following the recommendations by the Task Force on Children and Family Support Agency in 2012.
Smith, just Tigamid go táhachtach is atá an obair atá dhéanamh agah ach níl sibh os cór an costa sláinte, tá sibh os cór an costa Gaeilge, maidiúr leis an Gaeilge agus just má díonn tú is teá air sin, tigamid go táhachtach is atá an obair atá dhéanamh agah ach tá sibh os ar cór ar bhunú sela ag breanú ar Gaeilge agus úsáid na Gaeilge agus an dul chun cinn atá déanta agah ó híomh na Gaeilgeide agus ó híomh na freagrachtaí atá armh maidiú leis an dlí. So mas féidir díreú is deathir sin gurmá.
Okay. We can do that, I think, in terms of an overview. We're saying that in terms of the progress we've made, it's acknowledged that in the absence of a dedicated Tusla owned or commissioned Irish language service, quality of services through Irish is varied, with examples of services of a high standard in our areas, as well as where our obligations are not met in full. For example, our Tusla Early Years Inspectorate, our Education Welfare Service, and our Communications Unit, and some local areas, including those in Gaeltacht areas, have demonstrated some strong commitments to ensuring the availability of services, documentation and reports through Irish. In addition, while competence in Irish is not a criteria for staff recruited to Tusla services, we've identified at this point 24 staff across our services who are competent in Irish. However, we're conscious that a staff audit needs to be undertaken to accurately reflect the actual numbers of staff with competent levels of Irish for services, and it's our intention to do that across 2019. For some information, 12 of the 24 staff are based in the Galway-Roscommon area, and they're involved in ensuring that services can be provided through Irish language, including child protection, children in care, prevention, partnership and family support. It includes services like MEHL, individual parenting sessions, social work assessments, interagency meetings and information briefings. In addition, we have more staff in the Loudmead area who've established a quality improvement initiative to review how better respond to the needs of children referred through Irish. Furthermore, we have Irish-speaking foster carers available in some areas for children whose needs are best met in the family setting. And Tusla also funds 3 family resource centres in the greater Donegal Gaeltacht who provide services through both English and Irish. I'll just refer briefly to the Early Years Inspectorate. So the role of the Early Years Inspectorate in Tusla is to promote and monitor the safety and quality of care and support of children in early years provision in accordance with the Childcare Act 91 and the Early Years Services Regulations 2016. Regulatory inspections in these aims to determine the extent to which the service is well governed, the health, welfare and development of each child is supported, the children are safe and that the premises are safe and suitable and appropriate to the care and education of those children. There are 259 Irish language services currently registered with Tusla, and in 2018 110 of those received an inspection and reports were provided in Irish to those who requested it. In 2017, previous year, further 94 were inspected and again provided with Irish reports were requested. The Early Years Inspectorate is committed to supporting early years services where Irish is spoken, and formal written communication in Irish between services and the Inspectorate is arranged. The Inspectorate at the moment has 1 inspector with high-level proficiency in the Irish language and a specific Irish language inspector with expert proficiency in both oral and written Irish is currently being recruited to enhance and increase the service delivery to Neenery and Gaelscoileanna. It's inspectorate policy that while formal written communications are offered to services on request, and inspection reports and the recently published quality and regulatory framework are available in Irish. The Inspectorate continues to explore initiatives which would make translation more accessible and affordable, and continuously looks at ways to deliver services through Irish. To enhance this work, the Inspectorate engages with external stakeholders and Irish language representative organisations. This includes CORE, Neenery and Gaeltacht, who are an integral member of the Early Years Inspectorate Regulatory Support Forum, and Gaelscoileanna Choranta, which is a member of the Tusla Early Years Consultative Committee. These organisations offer information, advice and input in engaging with Tusla Early Years Inspectorate senior management. Just to briefly touch on our Communications Unit. Communications Unit is committed to publishing content in Irish as much as possible, and it's expected this will increase significantly over the next year. Examples of the steps we're taking to include Irish versions of press releases and communicating in Irish across social media platforms. Personally, I'm committed to improving the quality and quantity of service provided by Tusla through Irish, and in 2019 the following steps are planned. We have to prepare a draft language scheme. We have a scheme in the western area at the moment that's to be extended across to the other areas that we're involved with services in. We, as I mentioned, we're looking at the recruitment or procurement of the service of an Irish language officer. Part of the creation of Tusla has been that a lot of these services, we've worked with the HSE under a memorandum of understanding, and to a large extent our reliance on that has been difficult in terms of advancing Irish language services. We are reviewing the publications in line with our obligations under the Official Languages Act 2003. As I said earlier, we're recruiting a dedicated additional Irish language early years inspector. Staff newscast to inform systems in place to assist in responding to communications received through Irish. As I mentioned earlier, we're undertaking a staff survey to establish the levels of Irish speakers within our services. We are looking to identify additional spokespersons to speak in Irish in broadcast media. We already have a number of those. We are going to undertake an audit of Tusla's estate portfolio, and we need to draft business cases around the extension of bilingual signs. Again, that's something that historically, because a lot of our buildings are shared with HSE, they have undertaken that for us. Tusla will be taking up much more of that as we move forward. And we plan to promote the upskilling and training of the Irish language through our workforce learning and development programme. So just summarise by saying, since establishment, the focus of the agency has been to ensure that our core services, in terms of the protection of vulnerable children and their families, and it's only since 2016 where there's been increased investment that has allowed us to develop supports in other areas. So that's allowed us to adhere to higher standards of administration in compliance with our legislative requirements. However, as we move into the next stage of maturity and sustainability, the focus will increasingly be on developing and investing in the corporate spine of the agency, including increasing and improving the quantity and quality of services provided through Irish by Tusla.
Carmine Margaret. In the Nella? No. No. I can preach it. Okay. Ich habe das noch nicht.
Cormagat agus Cormagat just tachtos ar gar. Tá sé ríhabhachtach in ein teangháil idir páiste atá tócail atanga bháin nó fiú atá gá hangach agus bhfuil ceann bháin dúchas a chucu. Nuair atá siad dáileáil le daoine údarásach go bhfuil an tanga sin acu agus an san tír seo do páistí atá tócail le Gaeilge go mbeadh fuair Tusla fuair ein agrastáit atá siad dáileáil leis múntóirí san áireamh go bhfuil Gaeilge có agus luigh tú go bhfuil massa 24 don fuair go bhfuil Gaeilge có nó go bhfuil Commas Gaeilge có. Sin as breis is 4,000 duine tá ag obair de Tusla. So an céadúir a chóir dhéanamh agus sa látá nua antá sé an éasca survey dhéanamh ná fáil amach cad é an leibhéal. Mar ní féidir plán gníomhaíochta dhéanamh nó éon chur chuige ceart mad leis an Gaeilge muna bhfuil is go cad é an leibhéal Gaeilge tá an san agrais. Agus ag an staid seo mas an henghfuil sé scanalach nachfuil sé sin táirlatha agus tuigim na príochtaí atá ag Tusla agus tuigim na géirchéim agus na húfás atá sé bheith dáile leis in isiste arís. But sin ráite nuair atá tú ag acu foirn ba chóir go mbeadh sé in san CV acu go mbeadh an bhfuil cáilíocht nó Commas Gaeilge nó aontanga mar má tá tú dáileáil le páistí in éarna tá Francais mar tanga có nó Spáis nó Swahili nó Pei tanga bheith chuirt dul agus teangra a lurg chun dáile leis an páiste sin agus tá sa gomsa mar tá go bise le Gaeilge in san cathair seo níor béir le gomsa i gceart go dtí go raibh mé 7 nó 8. So den cuid is mó dá mbeadh mé dáileáil le aon duine is as Gaeilge a dhéan mé agus bhí sé Jackar ormsa casa ar béirle i gceart níor dhéan mé go dtí chuaigh me go dtí ollscoil. Sin an céadúir a bhí orm go hifigiúil casa ar an darnatanga in san stáid seo. Agus má hálíonn sé nuair tá páiste óg casan siad ar an béirle agus churann sé leis an fhadhb atá going mad leis an tanga. I gás na céad céim an eile, mollam an lista tá tóga níl mé i chur gcuine an lista is just caithfar bugad go topic chun an drécht scéim tanga sin a chur le chéile agus is rudí siimplí atá gceist. Agus roiinteacha is the buntáiste túsla seachas buntáiste Gaelgóirí a bheith siad Procurement is a gcuibh Gaeltacht an agras le gur féidir láimh bheith mar orlabhraí a gcuibh. Mar tá raidió na Gaeltacht an tá tíidí cethir ann agus tá raidió na lifa agus raidió fáilte. So bheith deis a gcuibh do meach duine ar fáil Craibh scuile faoi céco maith nó céco dunas atá túsla ag brathir céin cás. So sin rud bonúsach a chuidín libse, but chuidín sé le pobl na Gaeilge ghfuil sibse dar éire faoi an ceis seo. Ach go háirithe nuair atá sibh ní amháin a daileáil le cásanna éigeandála, but tá sibh a daileáil le níos colna agus réamhscoilíochta Gwytine. So más féidir tuairt faoin an dá ceis sin agus beidir teach mé sé ceann go eile.
Okay, thank you, Deputy. I think in the first case of the numbers of staff who we have within the organisation, I think we undoubtedly have a lot more staff, and you're right in terms of the need to survey that, and we've undertaken to do that in 2019. I think specifically in our education welfare services at the moment, a good number of the staff who we have employed are ex-teachers, and we would definitely in those areas have access to people with good Irish language skills, but that's an element of service that is not focused on the front end child protection side. On the front end child protection side, again, we tend to look for the skills first, and that's been the case in the past. I think in Thusla's case, we have particularly struggled over the last number of years to, while we've been able to recruit quite a large number of social workers, we've got a turnover in social worker skills. So that's just as well as the skill set of child protection and having good social workers in place, having people who've got solid language skills on top of that is something we're going to have to try and address. But absolutely our first case is to try, and has been over the last number of years, to try and get the skills, just try and get the social workers with those protection skills in place. But I absolutely take the point. We've got a lot more staff within Thusla who've got those skills. I think part of our process is to try and put the plan together, make it attractive, and have a survey of staff done, but also encourage and support staff who've got Irish language skills to move into service areas where they can support children who are brought up through Irish. Again, I reference the point we made earlier, in that the early years inspectorate, whose job it is to look at the Ninery and the early years education services and inspect those. We've inspected quite a number of those over the last number of years, and again, in terms of the communication, it's rarely with the children in those areas, it's usually with the management. The capacity to do those through Irish is there, but we're conscious that we need to invest more and bring in a number of extra people in that. I think one of the things that we haven't done that we plan to do next year is, in terms of having an Irish officer or somebody who's got that piece of work attached to them, who can coordinate and at least make that a focus, can allow us to put in place a plan at least, but also be somebody who's a central point in terms of supporting Irish language in terms of service delivery. The capacity in terms of speaking to the media, we're absolutely aware of that. I think my colleague Alan Breen could give some more on that, if you want to, in terms of our plans around that area.
Absolutely. Deputy Osnodig, just to tell you that I suppose a bit like the other corporate services within Tusla, communications was to a degree playing catch-up. So basically we're taking our team from 3 to 14 hopefully by the end of February, because we are cognizant of the fact that we have over 4,000 employees at over 400 locations around the country, delivering a full suite of services in child protection and welfare. And one of the priorities is to have put the strategy in place. We now have a communication strategy, part of that strategy is directly related to our obligations under the Irish language legislation. And one of the things we will be doing in the context of conducting a communications baseline audit is in our internal communication surveys and workshops, and we've conducted 2 of those already. We've been looking to ascertain if we can identify additional Irish speakers who are proficient. And obviously with that, Deputy Snoddy, comes some training, because if we're identifying, as is the case with any large organisation, really spokespersons to speak with some degree of authority on a particular area, they will need training, and some of those people sometimes will be speaking on areas maybe that they need to be brought up to speed on. But it certainly is a priority for us in 2019 to ensure that we've identified more spokespersons, as I said to you, with a view to having those available to deal with obviously broadcast like Radio na Lifa, Radio na Gaeltacht, TG Cahir, and that's something that is a priority for us.
Yeah, agus Cormagat, agus Cormagat, agus Neil Megsula, Ahru Hariha, Tigam Keiko, Maulasa, Harley and Ahru, but agus Maskinani and Shifshik Kurga, the Ahru Chak. Monolesham made a door to Fui Nekiguri, Lou of Lena, Hennestak, Niskolna. An bhfuil Gaeilge acu sin ar fad a thugann cuairteoirí in san Gaeltacht agus cad faoi las muid an Gaeltacht. Tá lán níonra nó réamhscoileanna atá las muid an Gaeltacht agus tá an foireann ag freastal ar na páistí as Gaeilge, bud an mín ortha ahrú go béarla nuair a hagann cigire isteach chun leabhart leis an cigire agus mus féar sin Connolly féidir denmh cinnta nach tarlíonn sé sin amach anseo.
Deputy, I might ask my colleague, Fiona MacDonald, who oversees that area, just to respond to that one.
Within the early years inspectorate, we have 4,459 services. So the Irish language services, the Ninery predominantly, will be 6% of services at 259. We have a lot of work yet to do in relation to this area. We are hugely committed to the Irish language, and we do have representatives in relation to our consultative forum and our regulatory support forum from the Gaelscoileanna and CNNG. In regard to inspections, we only have, at this time in place, we only have one inspector that is fluent in the Irish language, and that inspector is placed in the Gaeltacht area. We are just finishing a campaign in relation to having an additional inspector in another Gaeltacht area, and we do intend, within all Gaeltacht areas, over the next 3 years, to have Irish language speakers, inspectors. Just to say, in relation to the campaign that we undertook, that we didn't have large numbers in regard to applying for the job because of the not the Irish language, but to have the Irish language and also to have the early years background in relation to it for inspection and so forth. So that's limited, so that's something we have to work on. In regard to when we inspect services, the Ninery and that, our inspectors, a lot of our inspectors would have the basics to be able to say, to talk at a very basic level of Irish. So they are very conscious that the majority of the interaction is through English. So we do intend in 2019 to undertake training assessment and training need and identify people, and particularly in the Gaeltacht areas where we will be able to expand and improve on that. Also, in relation to inspection reports, when we're requested, we do translate them. We're conscious that it is just where we are requested. And in our documents that we do publish, and we've published a lot of documents, and particularly our quality regulatory framework that we've published that in Irish, we do intend publishing every single thing we have in Irish. But we have linked really strongly, particularly to our consultative forum, with our member representation from the Irish language community. And they give us advice in relation to which is the more important in that. But we do intend, we do see that within 5 years that we should be in a better position, that we will be able to facilitate inspections. Maybe not wholly or absolutely, but to a better level than we have. And that within the Gaeltacht areas that we put more expertise in there.
Ar an ceist
Tuc mé rasú.
well, it's going to leis made it
Okay.
Yeah, just an bhfuil siú den a tangáil le na hallscoileann agus sin má tá tú ag glóraigh daoine le na scileanna den le lua blianta go bhfuil tú ag rá ins na hallscoileanna go bhfuil gaige ag tastáil cumán a go méach postan amachchan seo de gailgóirí le na scileanna atá tastáil.
It is our plan to do that because we've just completed a campaign, so we realise that there isn't as many people that should have come forward. So we definitely do intend to contact the colleges in relation to it. Absolutely.
Fáilteoireamh go léir tá seanachna agam ar Pádraig agus tá chum fáilteoireamh tá brunner nach rá mé I láthair nach rá mé an seach níos luúthe an do choirí láthair a chluisteáil agus le bheith lándairíar tá anna meas agam ar an saoas obair a dhéanaan tús le go léithúil tá má bhac féin duine de mar chláán ag deanadh ólaíocht sóisialta agus ag obair le tús le ag an bomaide ar cúpla seachtain practicúil so tá mé buíoch frí sin. Tá cúpla is I bhealach amháin tá má céad ceis freagrathe agah a chuir mé ceir a ceis simplí díreach ormh agus bheadh spéis ag cuid maiid daoine freagraí seo. Agus do thula mé I bhealach freagrat an céad cheana ce bhéid cigarí luafhlíonna atá fostaí ag túiste. Cad é an líon cigarí a bhfuil in an cigareacht a dhéanamh trí bhean na Gaeilge. An bhfuil seirbhís cigareachta trí bhean na Gaeilge ar fáilí ngach cantar Gaeltachta. An leabharíonn na cigarí asperla os córna leanaí le linn na cigareachta agus an ceiricán an bhfuil ball fearn na níonraí in an teaghfuil a dhéanamh le túsla trí bhean na Gaeilge. Agus sin an méid agus a rís fáilte I Calgríomh.
Ní má go dtí cheanadar se. Go leis go te.
Senator, thanks again. I think I'll ask my colleague Fiona McDonald just to fill you in on those.
No Senator, just to build on what I've said already, within the early years inspectors, we currently have 47 inspectors. With our recent campaign, we're going up to 57 inspectors. Within the service in the Gaeltacht area, we only have in one Gaeltacht area one inspector that is proficient to carry out the full inspection, so that there's no English throughout the inspection. Within the other areas, it is building on that and things like that, so we are limited in relation to it. The staff within the Neenery, very much when we do engage with them, they will talk in Irish and English to us. And we do try to respond depending on the level of the inspector. And particularly in relation to our intern CEO stated is that we are going to look at the survey and we are going to look at our workforce and identify people in areas that we can upskill so that we can improve in relation to that.
We have an additional number of inspectors who can, who've got some level of proficiency in Irish without being fluent. So we've got one who is fluent and proficient in written Irish. We're trying to recruit the second, and a number of others who can converse to some extent in Irish.
Donnelly, that's your calculator.
My good car, like
Yeah.
Ceisna gutsa.
Okay.
Rome. Good admission to Maharfat.
Yeah, I know that's your calculator. But me má go a sochtan soléru. Ach ní mór do lá tá sé Jackar úrant ha bheith mar chahiirla an seo agus I géisteach leis na Barney olmhóra ó híomh na Gaeilgeide agus seirbhísí bonúsacha a chur fáil. Tá muidir cantmhí cearta déine. Tá sé tiltte ag daoine le Gaeilge go méid seirbhísí bonúsacha ar fáil. So tá sé bhunraigh agus mollim sibh tá sé bhí grá go hoscailte seo iad na Barney. Ach So, as dahad the shocked kigara, dahad the shocked, tá sé sin ag méid go dí cuige shocked. So, o dahad the shock go cuige shocked. Cevéid den ifar breise sin a bhfuil gaeilge acu, cén iireachta tá déanta agah maidir leis an figur breise sin. Ó híomh na daoine atá gaeilge acu, gaeilge level árid, cén sort cabhraach atá i gceist dómh siúd chun tuile feabh sa car a cuid gaeilge? An bhfuil siad ag freastal ar cuasainna, cad é an céitetán den iarden atá i món cuasa faoi láthair. Maidir leis an rud atá i gceist an seo an gaeilge a normalú. Sin an rud, an gaeilge a normalú, gan é a imimeú, gan rud breise a bheith i gceist. So, tá an strátais fithe bliain, bíonn sé agam mos má cór prilíochtain an seo, maidir le bhfuil a rainn. Tá an strátais le go síos an sin, tá plean gníomhaíochta an seo. Tásúla agam bhfuil sé léite agah, agus tá dúlgas faoi le oribh se faoin plan seo. So, má dhíramis ar soláthar lua bhlianta gaeilge, chuige héin. So, crochófar gá fos gaeilge i réim sin na lua bhlianta, las jit an rain lenaí agus gnóthaí yoga. An bhfuil sé sin déanta, an bhfuil éon ólas agah, an bhfuil sé sin déanta ag an rain. An bhfuil éon bhaint agah se lei sin. An bhfuil plan gaeilge agah se faoi láthair. No, an bhfuil sibh clúdaí faoi naimneach sláinte, nílas agam. An bhfuil sibh ag feimú gan plan, luúin de rinne sibh tagart don plan atá le teacht. Ba cén sort plan atá i gceist faoi láthair. Agus just maidir leis an strátais agus an plan gníomhaíochta, bheith mis ag súil nuair a hagann sibh os ar ggóir, go mbeidh sé sin léite, agus go bhfuil se bhíh díú is teo ar na rudaí. Ní sanolaí muidena, sanolaí a bhí tíhír den na cópis i seo, agus tá na sprochanna le amach go soléir. So, agus an rudhearnach, tá rudaí beartaí agah, tá sé ráite go bhfuil seo agus seo le déanamh agad. Má tá sé bhs ar cór an bhblin se thugan ag an puinte seo an bhblin se thugan. Cad iad na rudaí a bheith déanta agah leis jit an bhblin sin. Ar míle agah.
Okay, Chair. Thank you very much. I'll try and take those from the maybe from the bottom up. So, in terms of what we're setting out to do, I think mentioned earlier on that we have a realisation, I suppose, in terms of the development of TUSLA's corporate services, that since the agency was founded, relied extremely heavily on HSE, where we came from, to develop. And one of the services and one of the areas, you're absolutely right, that we were involved in there was the Irish language services. We operated within their framework for the first number of years. We've tried to step out of that over the last 2 years in terms of developing our own.
Will plan changa agah faoi láthair?
A separate plan for TUSLA? No.
No, faoi láthair.
No.
Okay.
So that's one of the things that we're determined to develop over 2019, is to put an Irish language plan in line with the Act in place. I think, as I've said earlier, in terms of the areas that we know we need to deliver on, we have talked earlier about the need to put in place more inspectors, and we're working through that plan in terms of, at the moment we have one who's
proficient. So, ceanna bháin as dahad the shop, agus by ceanna bháin as cuige shop.
Yes.
No. So,
so we have one in place, one to recruit. The Irish language services are about 6% of the total early years areas. So, you know, of the 50 posts or 55 posts, 3 to 4 Irish language inspectors would seem like an appropriate number. So, as my colleague, Ms MacDonald, has said earlier, we have a plan over the next 2 to 3 years to put that number in place. But obviously that's heavily dependent, as all things are, in terms of just having the approvals and resources around those. So that's our determination in terms of services. The other piece that we're determined to do is to look much broader through the organisation. We talked about it earlier in terms of a survey of staff and engagement with staff who are willing to provide and develop services through Irish, and as part of that...
by survey, Gesh, on Bhlín Seogan.
Yeah, to identify the number of staff in the organisation who have a proficiency in Irish.
Just ceist bhunúsach cén fánach bhfuil sé sin déanta hana ar a laiad chuna álamach cévéad daoine a bhfuil Gaelga acu cén fánach bhfuil sé sin déanta reimhise rud có bhunúsach leis sin.
Yeah, I think because those services were never looked on clearly as a service that TUSLA had control over previously, because we were involved in accessing those services with HSE. It's similar to a lot of other corporate type services or strategic pieces. It's really only over the last 2 years that TUSLA has had the resources and the control over those spaces. So it wasn't done as part of the initial setup. Like a lot of other pieces we came across into 2014, just taking what was in place and accepting that, and it was really only over the last 2 years that an identification of these different elements has come to the fore, really because there was no resource prior to that. So I think it's again represents another area that we're trying to develop, trying to create a service in. And as I said earlier, I think our commitment is much stronger to that now at the moment than it had been previously. Okay. Sorry, you asked, was there a fourth question in that, Chair? Okay.
I just add in relation to the 2 new posts that the Department of Children and Youth Affairs are establishing. We have a very good relationship and collaborative relationship with the Department of Children and Youth Affairs, and we definitely will liaise and we will build accordingly, similarly within TUSLA and within the Early Years Inspectorate, to ensure that our responsibility and our commitment of growing and promoting and supporting the Irish language will be in tandem, so that those positions will assist us and support us also in relation to it.
Okay, just on ceisnach bhfuil ní bhfuair mé freigra maidúla céfé daoine atá í mbun cuasa ag fólam na Gaeilge leis jitan agriocht.
It is my understanding that we don't have anyone currently undertaking a course, but it is in the, however... Currently, we don't have anyone undertaking an Irish language course at this time within the Inspectorate. However, we are going to promote in 2019 in regard to looking for personnel that will participate. So we're hoping within the survey that we'll identify personnel in regard, and that we will support and promote them undertaking courses and increase fluency and proficiency within the Inspectorate around Irish.
Gá ceist agus níl mé clásán aithníam na fáimne tá Griff agus ní sibhis massa ó hebh an stáit choras, but na figúí cloismid tá sé go donna, but ar a léamh tá sibh ag ghlacha leis gur gá ahrú dhéanamh. An gá ceist agus a gá áit atá spéis átha go bheann, an bhfuil teangaire ar fáil de siúd atá dailál le ceist cosan glani. So mátá páiste ann go Gaeilge an céadtanga go uaireanta bíonn sé deacair ortha faiban atá chur trasna I méile nó an aontanga eile. So má hagan fuór ifigí ar páiste atá an múcás an féidir tangra a bheith ar fáil ar gohan nó a lehéad chun cuidú le vins an over uaireanta a bhíonn an a hábhachtach ag an céad stáid. No, fiú in a dhéag sin. An tarna ceist madal le seirbhís eile luigh tú cuaramóirí altranis, so foster parents. Agus dúirt tú go bhfuil roinn cuaramóirí ann, a roinn clanna tá ar fáil daobh. Taiscum ó roinn cardalom agus daoine mar sin atá ag gháilt dá lehéad. A luigh atá tú cafa le páiste nó páistí, tá tú as an chorus is leo on ní bhogan daoine timpeall so má tá clown ann le Gaeilge nó gá clown ann agus tá páistí go hana féin an bhfuil arcú leanúnach ar siúl chun clownan na nua áil agus ceiste chomórtha nuair atá siad ar chóir ar féin ar fáil díobh an bhfuil Gaeilge có. Mar má tá páistí a teacht I cáspóir sin cás éigeandála agus go Gaeilge an tanga sa maiile có. Bheadh sé tábhail go mbeadh siad isteach a clown eile go Gaeilge mar tanga có, seachas isteach a clown. Mar má bhogann siad isteach a clown na béarla in san cás sin churann sé sin uaireanta leis an fáib or leis an chorás don saoil atá ag páistí ach go háirithe tá siad óg faoi cúig nó faoi sé massam. So, sin é.
I think I'll start with the second question around foster parents. Tusla, increasingly, as time has gone on, it has become increasingly difficult to recruit foster parents across the whole spectrum, regardless of language proficiency, and that certainly has been much more pronounced in urban areas, or closer you get to Dublin. In fact, the harder it is to recruit foster parents. However, I suppose an example, Galway most common would be quite strong in terms of the numbers of foster parents that they have, and in that area there's quite a number that I'm aware of foster parents, not quite a number, but a number of foster parents who have proficiency in Irish. So it really depends on the part of the country. So Western Seaboard, it's always been a bit easier to get access to foster parents. I think as the economy has improved and time has reduced, certainly we find much more difficult in the eastern part of the country to recruit foster parents. So your point is correct. If children who've got a proficiency in Irish are with foster parents who are non-Irish speaking, that's certainly a problem. I'm not aware of it being a major challenge in terms of peace, but we can check that out and get you some detail on that. Certainly come back on that. The first question, in terms of the assessment of children, child protection issues, if the child's first language is Irish, I might ask my colleague Noel Kelly from a schools or an education welfare perspective, just to give you some insight on that in terms of what we can do in those areas.
I suppose in the Education Welfare Service, we have 3 strands of staff. We have one group of staff who are directly employed by TUSLA, our Education Welfare Officers, and we have 89 of those, of whom 6 are proficient in Irish because they've come from a primary school teaching background. So we have 89 Education Welfare Officers, and 6 of those are proficient in Irish. So we also have line management responsibility for the Homeschool Community Liaison Scheme. And there are 416 homeschool liaison coordinators nationally. Over 270 of those are based in primary schools, so they're qualified primary teachers with a proficiency in Irish. So that is a resource as well. While they're not direct employees of TUSLA, they're a resource that is available to us. And our service development and service delivery at the moment is all about integration. So we have integrated those services together within TUSLA, and we're working very closely with our colleagues. So that is a resource that's available. So actually colleagues in other services, if they need to, have access to talk to our colleagues. And particularly if there are issues that relate to children in schools, we have a person on hand, a homeschool liaison teacher, who's available to the parents and available to the child. So certainly that is another support that is there, deputies, and I think that's something that we're using more and more, and that we need to capitalise on further. Now, unfortunately, but fortunately as well, the remit of the homeschool liaison scheme previously didn't cover early year services, but we have a new circular in development with the Department of Education at the moment that will be putting an emphasis on involvement in early year services. So again, that's something that we should be able to offer as a support to our colleagues, that where necessary or where possible, the homeschool liaison teacher could support and provide interpretation or maybe provide support as Gaeilge.
With the Griffin?
Yeah,
In Danella? No. Just to go to Rasharísh Guji on Enid Commersaja. Agus is tócha go bhfuil an túsil brín Giannis an Enid Commersaja. Just cévé dini atá ag obair san Enid sin, agus cévé dini atá Gaeilge acu.
Okay, Carter. I'll just tell you that currently we have a team of 7. We're building to 14. And I have recruited one senior communications officer who is proficient in Irish. And since we've taken him on, we have started doing some more communication through Irish. So, for example, to give you one example, would have been our Public Awareness Week for child and family support. And we would have done we would have had activity across our digital side in Twitter and Facebook, but we would have also sent out press releases in Irish, and we would have offered availability of spokespersons through Irish as well to talk about that week. So to answer your question, currently we have 1 out of 7 who is proficient. And again, I'm recruiting to 14. I am not certain at this point. We have some competitions to hold yet, but I'm not certain at this point who amongst the remainder to be recruited will actually have that level of proficiency.
Nach bhfuil si sin le go síos mar cuid den próisis arcíochta go mbeidh Gaeilge i cuid acu. Cén fánach bhfuil ólas agat, nach bhfuil se le go síos agah bhfuil se seo ag teastáil.
No, Cathair, it hasn't been. We haven't laid it down as a requirement, as the Chief Executive has said earlier. You know, it would be very, very difficult to recruit, I suppose, people with. If we did put that in as a condition, it would certainly limit the pool and the skill set that we required across. We've a number of different areas across the communications team covering brand identity, graphic design, content and digital, internal engagement and content curation, senior communications people who deal with the press, so that would prove to be quite difficult and probably would minimise the number of applicants who could apply.
Well, see, tá sé sin simúl, because by rectiach nua agan le cúna dé an bhlín se hugan module tá an bille ó híomh na teanga gefu go le gceist. Agus tá sé I gceist 50 fingéad de chuile module an próisis arcíochta go mai 50 fingéad arcia le Gaeilge. So, by an dúlge sin ormh se cosú le chuile agriacht eile nach mai.
Yes, if that becomes an obligation on us.
By order of dhéanamh. Ag an pointe seo, níl sé bhá dhéanamh.
No. I think it's important, Cathair, to point out to you that the communications unit, we're part of the wider Transformation and Policy Directorate. We've been actively taking steps to bring the Directorate and the wider agency into line with the Act, and have put plans in place to continue developing, for example, different publications that we produce and initiatives to build on that work that we've already done. And to that extent, we have taken a number of steps. And maybe I should point out a couple of those to you. So I mentioned to you about that, you know, we've begun with our social media side of things, and we propose to continue that. And also just to point out that any media queries we receive in Irish, we respond to in Irish. We get them translated and we respond to. Similarly with emails, we get them translated and we respond to those as well. We also have a number of publications like our annual reports, business plans, Summer in Train getting published at the moment. And we also have the Irish language prominent across all our branding. And so, for example, email signatures in the agency, letterheads and presentation templates, because we would regularly be presenting to other agencies and organisations as well around the country. So we also have a number of documents that we would have currently available in Irish. So all our Children's First documents, all of the guidance documents under the Children First legislation have been produced bilingually. So all the guidance documents for mandatory reporters, etc. I suppose I'm very, very conscious of our obligations to comply with the Act, and I was recruited a year and a half ago. My first goal was to build a communication strategy, and within that strategy, as a priority, was to ensure our compliance with the Irish language legislation. So yes, we are coming from behind, and I fully acknowledge that, but we're also very, very conscious and committed to our obligation to ensure that we are in compliance with the Act.
Is mahanrod sin is mahanrod é clistán. Just a golarás agus críg nó email leis an pointe seo. A golarás maidir leis an ghuailge a normalú tríd an Aindrias. Just é a normalú. Sin crílár na réiti in áíre crílár an réiti é a normalú. Agus a golarás go dtí na cuasaí. Agus chur mé ceist agus ní bhfuair mé freigra in áíre fuair mé freigra maidir le cigare. Cévéad daoine, cévéad den Iordan atá í mon cuasa faoi láthair í dúsla.
Agin ag an am seo, ach mar dúirt duine ag an hana féin, is socha bhfuil Gaeilge ag a lán daoine i tosla, agus caihamid, rud má é go bhfuil méid an seo aniu agus tásúla agus chuirte sin spreaga oring chun chun rangana, dulgadín rangana agus na daoine atá an dialol trí Gaeilge, go bhain siad an takeíocht atá.
Cur bhíl má go agus tá géal cultúra agus tá obair na gapala dhéanamh ag an agriíoch sin. So bhhatlam just soléirú mas féidir tar éis an crinne beidir nóta seola thugan maidir le cévéad duine san Iordan atá í mon cuasa. nó an bhfuil aon duine, nó cén sort cabhraach atá an do gcuoine atá i géirí. Sibse mar ampla, tá gála ceanreacht a spáint. Bhfuil Tá sé bhí áíire leis an bhfuilge tá gála ceanreacht a spáint. So, anyway,
Just ní gná ceiste seo a chum mé Irish, but ní gná duine bhíse an cuid is bá. An bhfuil éon cabhar breise gur féidir linge nó Irish eile Gaeilge a thuirtú díobhse. So tá muintear éis gurránaí anamh agus daile libhse, but an féidir linge cuidú a thuirtíobhse. Tá sé taréis rá bhfuil job mór a gcuibh an bhliain se chuin plánach chuir le chéile. Tá muideann seo chun cuidú comá le daoine a thógann isteach agus gurránaí anamh nó céir a tríd na cúntasaí nó whatever. So tá mé sé offráil sin mas féidir linge cabhra libh just chur an ceist.
Okay, thanks, Deputy, for that. I think part of the positive of this process, I'll be honest, has been, a realisation for us about the fact that in terms of the services that we provide, while we're desperately focused on the challenging role that we have in terms of the provision of child protection welfare services and family supports, that we need to be conscious that the delivery of those services to children, and also the education piece that we're involved in, I accept and I see very clearly the need for an organisation like TUSLA to be focused on the provision of those services through Irish where that's appropriate and where it's required. So part of our I suppose, experience a little bit like, as I said earlier, a lot of the things that we've been trying to pull together is that it's allowed us to focus a little bit in terms of what we need to do and what we need to get in there as basics. So there's lots of standard pieces in terms of documentation, etc., that we need to have in Irish in the organisation. I think the challenge for us is much more about how do we provide services that interact on a human level with kids, with foster carers and families, so that we're seen as an organisation that can provide Irish services. So it's a little bit reflective of the Chair's questions to us in terms of what are you doing in terms of supporting the training of staff, the ongoing piece. I think that's something that we'll go back and look at and say, well, that may be an area that we need to come back and get some assistance on, either through other organisations in the public service who do something similar, or we need to look at how we can do that in our own organisation. And I think until we've done that, there are probably gaps in our knowledge in terms of what are things that we think are possible or not possible. But that to me is the takeaway from the process that we're in. And I appreciate your offer of support on that. And I think we will and can come back to you on that one.
Just gur míle mágad agus intiam leis an teachta snodí maidir leis sin éon cabhras féidir lena thuirtíobse. Agus just chun accuimrí dhéanamh. Tá sé bheithrá go mbeidh cigar a breise an bhblionn se thugann le Gaeilge, go mbeidh cigar a breise, tá sé bheithrá go mbeidh plantseanga, tá sé bheithrá go mbeidh survey ó híomh na fórneide, ba sé bheith breanú ar cuasaí, agus by effica Gaeilge arci freisin an bhblionn se thugann. So a leid baine sé rudí sin déanta leis jit an bhblionn se thugann, an bhfuil me ceart faoi sin. Tíomh muite in rud eile. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Sinead, gur míle maith Patrick, Alan, Fiona, Amanda agus Noel. Agus bhí sé Jackar go gur míle mágah agus tá mé tharbh sásta gur tháinig sé bhós ar cór agus gur rah sibh díreach agus gur chur sibh béim ar na bearnaí atáin faríor géir tá siad an ach ar a leid tá sé admhaithe agus nuair atá sé admhaithe is féidir dul in glecló beidir beag gan é níos fearr nó níos éifeachtaí gur míle mágah. So ag an pointí seo raibh muid just dá le sesiún príomháideach. Tá maith.